Hello guys, in this video I will show you guys how to make pivot tables in Excel. So before starting pivot tables I will give you guys few tips that you should have to implement before making pivot tables to your data. So suppose this is a hypothetical data that I'm currently having. So in order to start from the data, as I said, it's always essential to make your first, there shouldn't be any blank row before your variable names. So that's why it's better to delete uh, this row. So I'm going to delete it. Because otherwise Excel will not be able to decide which row is actually having the variable name. So Excel can't decide automatically that the second row was the actual variable names. Usually it decides that first row is used to have variable name. Second important thing that you have to see that when you are going to build pivot tables, make sure that you also don't have blank rows within the data. It's also it's better to delete those blank rows too. And after that, so once you have done that, another thing is also better to do because before making pivot table is to go through your data and see that is there any wrong inputs in the data. So what I mean by the wrong input here is that suppose there is a price variable which is supposed to have numeric values. That variable shouldn't have any alphabet. So in our case, suppose in row 11 we have an alphabet here. So the problem that alphabet will create that once you will be running different calculations over these variables when you will be making pivot table, you may get an error. So it's better to make check. So suppose instead of a, the actual value was about 7,000. So this is a bit start of the pivot tables. So before pivot tables, it's better to give a quick go to your data and make it in a proper form so that you're able to run pivot tables easily. So now I'm going to sheet 2 to make a pivot table. So in order to make a pivot table, you can select wherever you want the cell, and then if you have to go to the insert tab, and then if you see that on the left corner you will most probably find an option of pivot table. Once you select that pivot table option, there is a new dialog box which will say which table range means which data you want to select. So my data is actually in the sheet 1. I will say that usually if there is a data set small like this, it's better to select all the variables because you may need different variables for in future. Otherwise you can only select those variables on which you want to use in the table. But in this case I'm selecting all the variables, and then other things are there is no need to change anything. You just set enter. So now we have this window and I have these variables. Suppose initially I want to know how prices are different in foreign and in domestic and foreign countries. So I have a foreign variable in the end. I will select that, and as you can see on your left side there are changes happening. So now you can see that our row level is domestic and foreign, and you can there is a blank, but you can remove that blank. I will tell you how you can do that. So but as I said, I initially want to see how prices are different between foreign and domestic country, but our price variables is above. So once I select that, it automatically is going there, but you can keep it here, keep it there, you can just drag it. So I will show you what this filters means, so I will also let you know what that do. But firstly, as I said, that what we want to do is to make a comparison between foreign and domestic foreign, but here it's giving the sum of prices. But I'm not interested in sum of prices, because if you go to sheet 1, there are different number of rows for domestic and foreign, so you can't make a good comparison between domestic and foreign. I want to see average prices so that it will be a bit easier or more logical to make a comparison between domestic and foreign. So what I will do, so I want the average operation, not the sum operation there. So I will just click that arrow, down arrow, and I will see value field settings. So once you select the value field setting, the next dialog box will show you different options that you can select. So you can even see that what is the maximum value of car in domestic countries, domestic, and what's the maximum value in foreign. But I'm currently more interested in the average. So I will select average. So here we have average of price. And another thing you can also do, so if you also want to see another variable, so you want to make other comparison, so you want here suppose average of maybe MPG, how you can do that. So it's also very simple. You just have to select that variable, and you can see the Excel have automatically placed it here. But as I've said, that suppose if you want, you can easily drag those things in different these windows. So, and I'm again not interested in sum of MPG. I'm more interested in average of MPG. So I will go again, and I will select average. But before going to average, I can show you there are so many other functions you can select. You can even select standard deviation, product, variance. So there is a good variety of functions which you can use. So I will select OK. And even I would like to show here that there is another very important option here, which is the number format. You can also select different number formats. Then even from here, if you want to see not that much decimal places, you can just keep some changing here. So you can also make changes here directly too. And other thing that I think, so here is the thing that once you will click here, usually Excel will automatically show this this part of the pivot table field. But sometimes if you go here, so you can also select the field that you want to see this table or not. But currently it's happening here. So another thing that I will like to show you guys is the filters. So what does filters do? It's very important option that Excel provides for the pivot table. Suppose if I have type. So initially what Excel have done is Excel have put it type under foreign. So now you can see within domestic, Excel is automatically dividing the data between diesel and petrol, because type can have two categories, and then doing all those averages within it. But in this case, I don't want type here. I want type as a filter. So I can just drag it here. So currently it's showing that all the data in the type is selected. But suppose I just want to see diesel. Yes, okay. So now I have only stats from the diesel cars within domestic and foreign for type diesel car. And the same way you can select petrol. And you can see the stats are changing here. So This is a very good bit that you can use within pivot table is the use of filter. So that will allow you to filter the data. Another thing that I will show is very easy, that suppose if you want to draw a graph out of that pivot table, then you just don't have to do much. You just have to go insert tab again, and then you have to select any form of graph that you like. Suppose I'm selecting here this, and I will show you what's happening. So if you select different data, so if I will select diesel, and then we'll say okay, the graph will automatically adjust according to it. And suppose in the graph there are different options you can do. Suppose if you don't want to see these labels here, so you can just simply hide all field buttons on the chart, so it will not show any those buttons. Again, if I go back here on the pivot table, sometimes you are not interested in grand totals, so you can also edit them. You can go to into value field setting, then you can remove them. Or I think if you go here too, so you can also select that you don't want to see the grand totals, so it will allow you to make even make different changes very easily. So, and again I will mention that whenever you deal with when you have to make pivot table, better to go through your data first and then try to make it in a proper shape, and then you can run pivot table over it, and it will be not a big issue to make a pivot table in Excel. Thank you for watching the video.